What if your life isn't something to find, but something to shape? Every day, millions wake up and follow a script they never wrote. Wake, work, scroll, sleep, repeat, and beneath the surface, something whispers, "This can't be it." You hear it when the room goes quiet, when the achievement doesn't satisfy, when the to-do list is done, but you still feel hollow. If that whisper lives in you, good. That's not weakness. It's the signal, the beginning. Because what you're about to hear isn't hype. It's not another feel-good escape. It's the first strike of a chisel against stone, and you're holding the chisel. You are the sculptor. Let's be honest, most people don't shape their lives, they react to them. They wake up to alarms they didn't choose, go to jobs they don't love, chase goals they never questioned, and call it normal, but it's not normal, it's numbing. They don't quit life. They just sleepwalk through it, but you're still here, which means something in you is awake. Something refuses to settle for survival. Something still believes you're meant to become. And here is the truth. Life isn't a script handed to you as a block of marble, raw, heavy, waiting, and the chisel. It's been in your hand all along. This isn't about dreaming bigger. It's about choosing better. And to do that, we're recalling into ancient voices, two minds that saw the truth behind the noise and offered a way forward. Nietzsche, the disruptor, the fire starter. He says, stop waiting for permission. Stop copying borrowed values. Tear the mask off. Create meaning. Create yourself. He doesn't want you to feel better. He wants you to burn away the unnecessary so something real can emerge. Then there's Aristotle, the builder, the guide. He says, want a meaningful life. Practice it daily. Repeatedly, through habits, through discipline, through character. One gives you the freedom to break the mold. The other gives you the structure to build something better. And when you combine them, you don't just get inspiration, you get a battle plan. You get clarity, not just about how to think, but how to live. Why does that matter? Because if you feel stuck, it doesn't mean you're broken. It means you're at the edge of something, a moment, a choice, a new beginning. And it won't come from another life hack or productivity tip. It comes from a new engine, a mindset built for pressure, a framework that works when everything else falls apart. That's what this is. You're going to learn how to harness Nietzsche's fire and pair it with Aristotle's form. How to turn abstract philosophy into grounded, real-world action. No, you don't need a PhD. You just need honesty, curiosity, hunger, and let's be clear, this isn't about controlling others, manipulating outcomes, or faking your way to success. This is about owning your path, choosing your values, and living them with unapologetic clarity. That's how you become dangerous. Not to the world, but to your own mediocrity. So here's how we'll shape this journey. First, we lay the philosophical foundation. Then, we explore how these ideas reshape your thinking. After that, we'll get real with stories and examples that hit home. Then, we'll hand you the tools, 5 practical moves you can start applying today. And finally, we'll ask you the one question that separates dreamers from sculptors. Who are you becoming? You don't need to know all the answers. You just need to be ready to carve. Let's begin. The fire and the frame. Here's a question most people avoid. What if the real war in your life isn't with your circumstances, but with yourself? Not with your boss, your bills, your past, or your critics, but with the gap between who you are right now and who you could become if you stopped holding back. Every day, there's this tension. Quiet, invisible, but constant. A pull between staying the same and stepping into the unknown. Most people mute that tension. They scroll it away. They bury it under distractions or busy schedules, but you're still here. That means something in you refuses to sleepwalk through your life. And if you want to shape your destiny, that fire inside, that resistance you feel, that's where it starts. Not with changing the world, Not with waiting for the perfect moment, but with mastering yourself. And that's where Nietzsche and Aristotle come in. Let's talk about Nietzsche first. Forget the image of some angry old philosopher yelling at the world. Nietzsche was something else. He saw through the scripts, the polite lies, the routines we inherit, the values we adopt without question, and he said, burn it down, not for destruction's sake, but so you can rebuild something real. He wasn't here to comfort you. He was here to provoke you, to wake you up. Because in a world full of noise, imitation, and shallow approval, he dared to say this: you don't find meaning, you make it. You don't discover who you are, you become who you are. Through suffering, through choice, through relentless self-honesty. His vision of the Bermensch, the overman, is not about being better than others. It's about transcending the old version of yourself. It's about saying, this life is mine, I will define it. Even if the world gives me nothing, I will create something. He wrote, you must become who you are, not find who you are, become. That means potential isn't buried somewhere waiting to be unlocked. It's forged in action, in conflict, in discomfort. But Nietzsche didn't leave a roadmap. He lit the fire. He handed you the match, the structure. That's where Aristotle comes in. Because fire without direction, that's just chaos, a wildfire. And we've all seen it. People who are intense, passionate, full of energy, but undisciplined. They burn out, they explode, they get lost in the noise. Aristotle gives the fire a frame. He's not flashy, he's not dramatic. He's the one who says, you want to live well. Then practice, daily, intentionally, until it becomes who you are. He believed that the good life wasn't a feeling, it was a result. A consequence of cultivating certain traits over time: courage, temperance, wisdom. Not traits you're born with, but traits you train, like muscles. For Aristotle, excellence wasn't magic. It was repetition. We are what we repeatedly do, he said. Excellence, then, is not an act, but a habit. Let that settle. Because in a world obsessed with hacks and shortcuts, that one sentence is a revolution. He's not telling you to wait for inspiration. He's telling you to act your way into becoming. So what happens when you put these two together? You get the vision and the method. The raw power of creation and the daily practice to shape it into something solid. You get fire that's focused. You get direction that's not boring. It's battle-tested. Nietzsche tells you to challenge everything, to destroy what no longer serves you, to stop living on autopilot. Aristotle tells you to rebuild with care, to create structure, to live with virtue, not as a concept, but as a rhythm. Together, they offer a blueprint that most people never see. You don't drift into greatness. You build it. You bleed for it. You earn it, one hard truth at a time. And here's where it gets uncomfortable. Because if you want that life, that clarity, that impact, that fire in your bones kind of presence, it doesn't come from thinking about it. It comes from choosing it, over and over again. You have to ask yourself, right now, am I willing to suffer for my potential? Not just once, not just when it's exciting, but when it's boring, when it's quiet, when no one's clapping, when everything in you says, quit, you've done enough, because most people won't. They'll scroll. They'll wait. They'll talk, but they won't act. And they'll tell themselves stories about time or talent or timing. But deep down, they'll know they didn't choose. But you can choose. You can decide that this tension you feel, that voice that keeps asking for more, is not something to silence, but something to follow. So the next time you catch yourself checking out, escaping, going numb, ask this simple question: is this helping me become who I am? And if the answer is no, then you already know what to do. Because freedom isn't found in comfort, it's forged in responsibility. And greatness, it's not born from talent. It's built through repetition. The chisel is already in your hand. So what are you carving? Mind over myth, the psychology of becoming Here's a question that hits harder than most people expect. Why do some people fall apart in chaos? While others rise, same pressure, same setback, same fear, but to completely different outcomes. That question isn't academic, it's personal. Because whether it's next week or next year, something will test you. You'll lose your footing, get hit with something unexpected. You'll face a moment when the old habits one day save you, and the only way forward is through. And in that moment, you'll either collapse or become something new. So let's talk about what actually makes that transformation possible. Because this isn't just philosophy anymore. This is about your mind, your patterns, your identity. It's where Nietzsche and Aristotle stop being names from a book and start becoming forces that move through your thoughts, your habits, your story. Let's start with Nietzsche again. When he said, "What doesn't kill you makes you stronger," he wasn't being dramatic. He was describing something real, something we now understand in psychology as post-traumatic growth. But here's the part people miss. Growth through struggle isn't automatic. Pain doesn't shape you on its own. In fact, without the right mindset, pain just leaves a scar. But with the right mindset, pain becomes raw material. It becomes a forge. So what's the difference? How you interpret it. When the challenge hits, do you see it as punishment or as preparation? Nietzsche's Bermensch sees it as preparation. He doesn't run from discomfort. He walks into it, eyes open. Not because he loves pain, but because he knows what's on the other side. Strength, not the fake kind, the kind you earn. The kind no one can take away. This isn't about being tough. It's about being deliberate. When the world gets loud, the Bermensch doesn't ask, "Why me?" He asks, "What now?" He chooses how to respond. He chooses how to frame the struggle. And that framing changes everything. Now bring Aristotle into the picture. He wasn't trying to inspire you. He was trying to equip you. His whole philosophy was about character, who you become through what you practice. His belief that you don't become better by thinking about being better. You become better by doing better, over and over, even when it's boring. Especially when it's boring. That's how virtue is formed. Through repetition, through choice. But this isn't just theory. Modern psychology agrees. There's something called self-determination theory. And it tells us this. You grow when your actions come from within, not from pressure, not from fear, but from alignment with who you are, with what matters to you. That's exactly what Aristotle meant by virtue. It's not about obeying rules. It's about choosing to live in a way that makes you respect yourself. So now, let's bring these two forces together, Nietzsche's fire and Aristotle's discipline, and ask the real question, what happens inside you when things get hard? Because that's the test, not when things are good. Not when the plan's working. The real test is when your habits are weak, your confidence is cracked, and your path is unclear. In that moment, you can either react the way you always have, or you can create something new, a new pattern, a new response, a new identity. And that new identity, it's not built overnight. It's built in friction, in silence, in the decision to keep going when it would be easier to give up. It's not flashy, it's not public, but it's real. Because here's what happens when you start acting from that place. Aligned, consistent, grounded. Your brain begins to change, literally. Neuroscience shows that repeated action wires new neural pathways. Habits aren't just routines, they're rewiring. Every time you choose discipline over distraction, honesty over avoidance, intention over reaction, you reinforce a new identity. And that identity, it becomes your foundation. The part of you that doesn't shatter when the storm hits. It bends, it adapts, it holds. That's the point. You don't rise in chaos because you're lucky or gifted. You rise because you've trained yourself to act like the person you want to become, even when it's hard. Especially when it's hard. So here's the uncomfortable truth. You're not stuck because life is unfair. You're stuck because you've let your past define your present. Because you've believed the story that your identity is fixed. But it's not. You can change it. You can rewire it. And it starts with the smallest of decisions. Start asking yourself, what pain have I been avoiding ... that might actually be the fuel I need? What one habit I could commit to that would make me proud a year from now? And maybe most importantly, what would it look like, not in theory, but in real life, if I actually lived like the person I say I want to be? That person, they're not some future version of you waiting to be unlocked. They're built, brick by brick, action by action, day by day. And they're waiting on one thing, for you to act. Tools for the warrior in the mirror. Let's be real. You don't need more information. You don't need more motivation. You don't even need more time. What you need ... is a system for struggle. Because the gap between the life you dream about and the life you're living, that gap isn't filled by wishing, it's filled by tools. So this is where we get practical, real-world moves. No philosophy degrees required, just 5 strategies, simple, sharp, and grounded in Nietzsche's fire and Aristotle's form. These aren't tips, these are weapons. Use them. Tool 1. Define your North Star. Let's start where it all begins, with purpose. What are you living for? Not what society told you. Not what your parents expected. Not what looks good on LinkedIn. What you, in your quietest moments, feel called to build, become, or contribute. Write it down. 1 sentence. No fluff. Not, I want to be successful. That means nothing. Say, I want to launch a creative business that empowers others. I want to become a clear-thinking leader who builds things that last. I want to master my craft, own my time, and live without regret. This is your compass, your anchor, your filter. You'll lose your way sometimes. That's normal. But when you know your North Star, you always know how to come back. Review it every Sunday. Keep it alive. Tool 2. Embrace the struggle. Nietzsche would say, your pain. That's your curriculum. That hard thing you've been avoiding. That's the next chapter. Pick one area of resistance, something uncomfortable you've been postponing. Maybe it's a conversation, a decision, a commitment. Now stop calling it a problem. Call it training. Ask, what muscle is this building? What future version of me does this prepare me for? Then act, not tomorrow, today, 1 email, 1 decision, 1 moment of choosing the uncomfortable thing on purpose. Discomfort isn't the enemy, it's the gym. It's where identity is built. Tool 3. Build 1 keystone virtue. Aristotle didn't preach discipline. He practiced it daily, so you're going to do the same. Pick 1 virtue. Just 1, not be a better person. That's vague. Say, discipline, clarity, courage, presence. Now link it to 1 habit. A keystone habit. Examples: wake up without snoozing. Read 10 pages every day. Journal 5 minutes every night. Go to the gym at the same hour, no matter what. Track it. No excuses. Put a big X on your calendar every time you follow through. Do it for 30 days. Then assess. But don't chase perfection. Chase consistency. That's what shapes character. Tool 4. Reflect and recalibrate. This is where most people fall apart. They work hard ... but they don't review. They keep doing the same thing, expecting different results. You're going to build in the most underrated power move in personal development, the weekly check-in. Every Sunday, block 10 minutes. No phone, just paper and pen. Ask yourself, what worked this week? Where did I slip? What do I need to change? Then adjust. Don't wait for the month to end. Fix it now. This habit turns life into a feedback loop. A living system. It's not glamorous, but it's how professionals evolve. It's how you go from reactive ... to refined. Tool 5. Visualize your bermensch. This is not fantasy. This is preparation. Close your eyes. Picture the highest version of yourself, 5 years out, confident, disciplined, free. What does that version of you look like? What do they say no to? How do they move? What do they tolerate? What do they demand? Now open your eyes and work backward. What would that person do today? Would they skip the workout? Scroll for hours? Say yes to something they don't believe in? Or would they act like their time matters? Like their energy is precious? Like their habits build something? You don't become that person all at once. You become them by making today a seed for that future. One step at a time, one boundary, one decision. One no. Let's recap. You've now got 5 sharp tools in your hand. 1. A North Star to anchor your direction. 2. A mindset that transforms discomfort into training. 3. A keystone habit that builds identity. 4. A weekly reflection that evolves your strategy. 5. A visualization practice that ties today's action to tomorrow's self. You don't need talent for these. You don't need luck. You just need intention. But here's the deal. None of it works if you don't work it. This isn't theory. It's practice. It's sweat. It's patience. Your comfort zone will plead with you. Your excuses will whisper sweet nothings. But if you keep choosing alignment over avoidance, clarity over confusion, and action over delay, something will shift. You'll start to feel it. A new edge, a new weight to your presence. You won't need to explain who you are. People will feel it. You'll stop seeking approval and start radiating something harder to fake, conviction. And here's the best part. Once you've tasted that ... you won't want to go back. Destiny is earned. You've made it here. That says something. You've walked through the fire of ideas. You've looked at the mirror of your identity. You've been handed the tools. So now the question isn't philosophical. It's practical. What are you going to do with all of this? Because let's be honest, most people won't move. They'll nod. They'll feel stirred. Maybe they'll even save the video. But by tomorrow, the noise will return. The old habits will creep back in. The momentum will fade. But you're still listening. That means the fire's still there, even if it's small. Even if it's flickering, it's alive. And that means you're ready. Here's what you now know. Your life. It's not fate. It's feedback. Your struggles. They're not punishments. They're preparation. Your identity. It's not a label. It's a sculpture. And every action is a stroke of the chisel. Nietzsche gave you the permission to stop waiting, to burn the old script and write your own code. Aristotle gave you the method, the tools, the understanding that a good life isn't something you feel your way into it, something you practice into reality. And now it's your move, so pick one thing, one tool, one action, one decision that says, I'm in. Defying your North Star, embrace the challenge you've been dodging. Build one keystone habit, set your weekly reflection. Visualize the version of you who stops flinching and starts creating. Don't wait until Monday. Don't wait for clarity. Don't wait to feel ready. Start messy. Start small. But start, because every great life starts the same way, with one honest, unglamorous, unstoppable moment of action. You don't need permission. You don't need guarantees. You just need to decide that this version of you, the one who drifts, delays, doubts, is not the final version. You are the sculptor. The marble is your choices, and the masterpiece. That's what you build from this moment forward. Forge forward. If something in this message hit home, don't let it fade. Hold it. Click that like button, not for me, but for you. As a quiet signal to yourself, I'm done waiting. Subscribe if you're ready for more. More strategy, more philosophy, more depth. We're building something real here. No shortcuts, just tools that work. And drop a comment. What tool are you starting with this week? This community isn't about noise. It's about transformation. And it starts with conversations like that. You weren't born to live a life of quiet compromise. You were built to carve something unforgettable. This was one chapter. The next one starts when you hit play again. Until then, keep sculpting. You're not done yet.